Meet Raouf, a Palestinian construction worker from the West Bank. For more than 2 years now, Raouf has not been able to attend work, except for one time last year when he climbed over an Israeli-built wall separating the West Bank from the rest of the occupied territories. However, Raouf was immediately caught during a police raid at his workplace. He was then imprisoned for 38 days and banned from re-entering until 2027. Foreign Policy shared Raouf's story, and he's not alone. Raouf is one of 115,000 Palestinians from the West Bank who lost their work permits. And today, nearly 2 years later, only about 8,000 have gotten them back. With hundreds of thousands unemployed, the West Bank's unemployment rate has soared to over 30%. And Raouf hasn't been able to secure a steady job since. Instead, he picks up occasional jobs like street cleaning and earning just around $15 per day. Also, Israel imposed restrictions such as withholding Palestinian tax revenues, which strangled the West Bank's economy. A survey by the International Labour Organization during the first year of the war on Gaza found that more than half of employees in the West Bank had their hours cut. Over 60% saw their incomes reduced, and 65% of businesses laid off workers. The lack of opportunities, combined with no legal way to work inside the occupied territories, is pushing many Palestinians to risk their lives just to earn a living. And the result? A near record unemployment rate has doubled the West Bank's poverty in just 1 year. Economists say that 1 in 3 families in the West Bank is now living in poverty. But the crisis doesn't stop there. Even before the war, Israel was withholding Palestinian tax revenues, which are funds collected on behalf of the Palestinian Authority. And since 2019, it has blocked about $2.3 billion, citing payments made to families of Palestinian prisoners and those killed by Israeli occupation forces. And after October 7, 2023, Israel's cabinet also froze funds that paid the salaries of Gaza's public sector workers, claiming the money might end up with Hamas. The Palestinian Authority refused to accept any partial transfers of payments. And by January 2024, the money was placed in a Norwegian trust account to be released only with Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich's approval. But when Norway recognized the Palestinian state in May 2024, Smotrich scrapped the deal. And since then, revenue transfers have been largely withheld. And even when some funds were released, public employees only received 50 to 70% of their salaries, forcing the PA to borrow from banks to cover wages. In June, the crisis deepened further when Smotrich canceled a legal waiver protecting Israeli banks that do business with Palestinian banks, just hours after several Western countries imposed sanctions on him. Without this waiver, Israeli banks may cut ties with Palestinian institutions, creating a cash-only economy and fueling the black market. The waiver is up for renewal in November, and its cancellation could cut the West Bank off from the global financial system. At the same time, another problem is piling up: a glut of Israeli shekels inside the West Bank. The 1994 Paris Protocol set the shekel as the official currency in the Palestinian territories and capped annual transfers of shekels from Palestinian to Israeli banks at 18 billion. But over the years, far more shekels have circulated, and since October 2023, Israeli raids on currency exchange centers under the pretext of preventing the funding of terror have seized millions of shekels. But these centers are essential. They process payments, checks, and money transfers that Palestinians rely on, especially under the financial chokehold imposed by Israel. So, with collapsing banks, soaring unemployment, withheld funds, and currency restrictions, the West Bank's economy is being pushed to the brink. Economists now warn that a total financial collapse may be unavoidable. This is another form of erasure.